Hey there, cat fans. Welcome to Meowster Podcast. I'm Rebecca Zish, and that's Tim Black.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Thank you. I'm fine.
Thank you. I'm fine, too.
Yes.
So today, we're going to talk about the Catterbox. Now, the Catterbox, I like saying it like that, too.
Okay.
Purports to be a collar that can be worn by cats
Okay.
that will interpret their meows into English words.
Yes.
Okay. Now, this was developed by the Temptations Lab, which is not an actual thing. What it is. So there may not be such a thing as the Temptations Lab, right?
Okay.
But Temptations cat treats are made by the Mars company.
Harriet loves them.
Oh, I don't know a cat who doesn't.
I know. Dudley used to like them, but he couldn't eat them because they'd make him puke.
Oh, but he still wanted them.
Yes, he wanted
because
them very much.
that is the magic of the
Yes.
Temptations, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the Mars company is the overriding corporation that creates the Temptations cat treats. And their advertising for Temptations is done by an ad agency in London called Adam and Eve DDB.
Okay.
Okay. And DDB, I can't remember what the names are, but that's an ad agency that's been around forever, right?
Yeah.
And it originally named after three men, right?
Okay.
But I don't remember what they are now.
Okay.
I guess I could look it up for you. But in any case, so this ad agency has won a bunch of awards for the ads they've done for Mars, for that company, for their foods and their pet foods. And but specifically, they've had a ton of success with the ads they've done for Temptations.
Oh.
You might remember the Christmas ad where they built a room with the Christmas tree and all the presents and ribbons and ornaments, and then they just in the room was a circle, and there were all these little doors that opened, and each door was for a cat, and all the cats came running in.
Yeah.
So little cat's eyes, cat flaps, right? The cats all came running in, and they were like, "What? A Christmas room with no one telling me not to destroy it." And so they were like destroying it. And then the trick was that then they opened a bag of Temptations on the other side of every cat flap, and all the cats went running back to get the Temptations.
Yeah.
The idea is that even with the temptation of Christmas wrapping paper and boxes and ribbons and ornaments, like, I still want Temptations. And that was a great
really
ad,
was.
right?
Yeah.
Really good ad. And they did, I don't know if you remember, a couple of years before that, they did the ads for Temptations, made this thing they called the Snacky Mouse. And it was a little mouse toy that you rolled around and treats came out of it. It's basically like you can get treat balls.
Yeah.
So the balls cats knock around, the treats come out as it rolls. So Temptations made their own called the Snacky Mouse, and you would buy it, and when you bought it came with a bag of Temptations.
Okay.
But there were some great ads for that too, where they had a cat that was like wearing boxing gloves.
Right.
And he was knocking around the ball with his boxing gloves because he wanted it to go faster so he'd get more treats.
Yeah.
You know? So these all come from this ad agency. So the ad agency was given the goal of coming up with a new ad campaign. And they had the idea of, oh, wouldn't it be clever if, like, we knew what cats were saying?
Yeah.
And they came up with this idea that, you know, and I think this comes from the movie Up, I think, generally.
Okay.
That in the animated Pixar movie Up, the dogs all wear these collars that interpret what they're saying. And it's very funny, right?
Yeah.
And then there's also been apps. You can buy apps for your phone where it pretends to interpret your cat or interpret you into cat.
Yeah.
Right? So you can say like, "Hi, kitty," and then the app on your phone will go, meow, meow, you know.
I think I have one of those right here.
Oh, yeah? Yes, that's one of them. Oh, yes, that got Harriet's attention.
Sorry,
right.
Harriet.
So that's the other way around, but still the same idea, like trying to get you and your cat on the same
Harriet.
language level. Yeah, Harriet does not like that.
She doesn't.
No, she's trying to relax here with us, and that's not relaxing.
I'm sorry.
You couldn't press a button of a happy cat.
I couldn't find one.
Yeah. Those all seem like distressed cats.
Yeah, let's see. Well, maybe.
That's nicer.
That's nice. I'm sorry.
But still, she's like,
No.
She's like, why'd you let another cat in here, especially one so chatty?
Yeah. Jeez.
Okay, so this is where the idea of the Temptations lab is a little bit of a joke, but they really did get some scientists or engineers or whatever to develop this collar that has software in it that can tell when the cat who's wearing it has meowed. And then what you do if you have the collar is through an app on your phone, you assign the collar a voice. So there's a variety of voices you could choose.
Yeah.
They all seem to be British.
Okay.
But I think that's because the ad agency is British. Yeah. And also, I kind of like the idea that all cats are British. I mean, we know some of them are Norwegian and some come from various parts of Asia and Africa, but that somehow, I guess, maybe through colonization, eventually they all just became British.
Okay.
I don't know, but well, I mean, the UK, they've been everywhere. Yeah, I just think it's funny.
Yeah.
It makes them sound smarter.
Sure.
Yeah. Isn't that what Americans always say?
Absolutely.
Oh, the British always sound so smart. Okay. So for a more scientific explanation, they use digital sensors in the collars to analyze cat noises and translate them into these human voices. The collars were actually made with 3D printers. And so in 2016, actually, was when these were made.
Okay.
For some reason, this ad campaign, which isn't on TV, it's only a viral ad campaign, was really only introduced to American audiences this month that we're recording, so January 2018. Yeah. But this was actually done back in 2016.
Okay.
And if you'd lived in New Zealand, Australia, or I guess in the UK, you would have known about it in 2016.
Oh.
So anyway, dating back to 2016, people have been asking, what are these? Where'd they come from? I want one, right? And the answer is, you can't have one.
Okay.
And the reason why you can't have one is because they only made 50 of them.
Okay.
And they made 50 of them with the 3D printer, and they called them prototypes. They were distributed amongst like cat shelters and I'm not sure who else, but like news reporters, right?
Yeah.
Only in New Zealand.
Okay.
Okay. I guess to corner the market. I don't know why, but only in New Zealand. There were 50 prototypes made with a 3D printer only in New Zealand. And they didn't really get to the type of science where, like, I thought when I first read about this that, like, you could set it to understand your cat's meows. So, like, if you were So you might have instructions that are like, when your cat is eating and it makes a noise, or when it's asking for food, you know, you would use a certain program. So I was imagining like the way you kind of program your remote control.
Yeah.
You know, and you're like, well, I want it to be able to turn the DVD player on and off. Yeah. And so I'm going to press these buttons when I'm doing that, right? So it knows like so that's what I was thinking, that maybe that was happening, which is, I think, a great idea, right? You just tell the thing like, well, when this vibration, if you're reading this vibration, this is when my cat is hungry. And so then it would give it a I'm hungry message, right? Yeah. So it would go, meow, and then the collar would go, I'm hungry. But I thought that was pretty straightforward. Or you know, or when, you know, you're sleeping and they come along like, meow, and you would program in them saying, wake up. You know, sitting in the windowsill and they go, meow, it's like, and then you make it say, you know, there are birds outside, you know, whatever it might be. But you could do it for your own cat, right? That wasn't part of the prototype. So for the prototype, it was just, it could tell when the cat was meowing. And then it just kind of randomly assigned maybe like, I'm not sure how many, 20, 30 expressions. The number of videos I've watched, I've heard about 20 different things that the cat could say. And often they match up exactly. I'm not sure how that happens, right? Because it doesn't seem like you're programming it, but I think just by happenstance, perhaps cats do only a few things, really, right? As much as we love them and admire them, they really only do a few things.
Because they really have only that much to say.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. So that's what they did. So you'd put the collar on the cat and it would meow, and then the collar says something. Okay. So it was more like a novelty item. It made great viral videos. They're really cute. Yeah. They're super cute. Yeah. You know, and the cats say, like there's one of a cat and she says, mew, and then eats a treat. Like it's a trail of treats. Yeah. She says, mew, and eats a treat, mew, and eats a treat. And each time she mews, the collar says, I'll have another. Mew. I'll have another. Mew. Right? Yeah. It's very cute. Or like there's one where a human is playing with a cat with a feather wand. And the cat says, meow. And the collar says, I don't know what this is, but I like it. So, yes, really, really cute. But a lot of people, because you couldn't buy them, going around saying, this isn't real, this is fake, it's just for the commercials, it's just a joke. Yeah. You know, don't embarrass yourself by saying you want to buy one.
Right, that's the same thing that I found out.
Yeah, you told me, you're like, this thing isn't real. Oh, yes, it is. Just because you can't buy something doesn't mean it's not real. Yeah. You know, and it might not do all the things that we wish it could do. Right. And certainly we can't buy any. They're not available to buy. But there were these people in New Zealand who had them. Yeah. And you can go online, and especially all of these like morning TV shows in New Zealand, they all got one. And if you go on YouTube, you can watch all these different morning TV segments, you know, about where people have them or they've used them, and then there were a bunch of like radio shows in the UK and all over that you can. One video I found was actually from a radio show, right? And it seemed British. I'm not sure. It could have been, you know, could have just been a host from England, but you know, in Australia or New Zealand or something. But they brought a cat into the studio wearing one of these collars, but without taking into account the fact that the cat did not want to be in a studio, does not like media, right? Yeah. And they lost the cat behind a wall in the studio. Okay. And there's this whole video you can watch online where there's like 4 staff members of this thing trying to drag a cat out. And the co-host, this woman, is saying, like, giving updates and saying, this cat is not happy. The cat is hissing and growling.
Yeah.
And the host is saying, well, what's the caller saying? You know, is the caller interpreting the hissing and growling?
Right.
And she's saying, no, I think the Catterbox only reads meowing, you know. And they finally get the cat out. And it's this giant black cat and is not happy.
Oh.
Like, and it got me thinking, why would any cat want to wear this thing? Like, it looks comfortable. It doesn't look like it's got any sharp edges or anything.
Yeah.
But I don't know how much it weighed. And if cat doesn't like wearing a collar in the first place, they're not going to want to wear this thing.
Right.
And how crazy would it be if every time you spoke, another voice said something? Like right next to your ears, you know? I thought that was really strange when I was seeing it through this cat's perception. You know, I don't want to be here. Make this thing stop talking. I don't know any of you people. I'm going to go hide behind this wall.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, it seems funny, but I really felt bad for this cat. Didn't want to be involved at all. So, but a better video, in fact, a really good story was done by this. It's one of these New Zealand morning shows that I was talking about. And the guy got one of these prototypes and went out into the field. He went to the closest humane society.
Oh, okay.
And they put the collar on all these different cats in the humane society. And it's really cute, you know, because they say meow, and then it says I love you, you know, or wow, I'm having fun, or something. And this one, they put it on this one kitten, it was so tiny. The thing's like hanging off its neck, and it's going meow. And that kitten actually just took the collar off and was like toy, and started like knocking it around. And then he took the collar to a big cat preserve.
Okay.
And they didn't try to put it on any tigers or lions or anything, but they held it up right next. I mean, it wouldn't have fit on them anyway. Yeah. But they held it up right next to them, and the cats would make these, you know, big growling noises like they do, like the chuffing and noises they make. Okay. And the vibrations were being picked up by the collar. And then it was as if the collar was speaking for tigers. Wow. Which was super fun. That is. Right? So then they took it back to the studio, and there's 4 people who host this show. And then they passed it around, and they each made their best cat sound. Yeah. So we could actually play a bit of that for people. Okay, so let's see where we are here.
Okay, so we need to be really careful with this. Okay, so of course it's.
No, it works. Let's do it.
Okay, here we go. So we need to be really quiet. So I'm going to do my little meow. I can't believe I'm doing this. Okay, I'll do a meow, and then you have listen, and you do it as well. Okay. Meow.
Fabulous.
Brilliant.
Is that how you're feeling though?
Yeah, it's your turn, JJ.
Are you ready?
I
love you.
Maybe it's accurate.
Maybe it is. Yummy. Yummy.
I was more angry.
I'm trying to do a sad one.
Okay.
Shut up, Lloyd.
Shush, Lloyd.
Stroke me.
Stroke me. Can you do it again?
Sorry.
Yummy.
Wahoo!
What? So I thought Wahoo was the best one I heard. Yeah. I really like that one.
That's a good one.
Anyway, so yeah, it's really just that it's picking up the vibrations. So whether a cat's wearing it or you're holding it up to a big tiger, or a person's just speaking into it.
Yeah.
No matter what, it's just going to pick up the vibrations and then spit out one of the pre-recorded messages.
Right.
And, you know, like I said, I mean, it might reflect what the cat or even the person, you know, at the beginning of this, the first guy does it and the other guy in the studio goes, is that what you were feeling when you did it? He's like, I don't know. You know? Yeah. So, I mean, the idea behind this is there is a general consensus that when domestic cats meow, they do it to communicate with people.
Yeah.
Right? That they don't do that themselves. If you go, if you hang out with feral cats in their communities, you really won't hear a lot of meowing.
Yeah.
You might hear some caterwauling, hissing, growling, but you don't really hear meowing. And so that's the idea behind it, the cute idea. Like if they're meowing to talk to us, well, maybe we could know more about what they're saying.
Sure.
Having said that, though, just last night, my two cats were all the way on the other side of the house, just meowing at each other.
Yeah.
And I thought they're talking to us.
Yeah.
So I got up and I got out of bed and I was like, dudes, what is the deal? What are you doing over here? And they just looked at me. They're like, we're having a private conversation. And so I went back to bed. And as soon as I got back into bed, we heard them on the other side of the house again, meowing at each other. Yeah, and not the kind of like caterwauling they do when they play wrestle, you know, and they go like meow and they're play wrestling.
Yeah.
They were just on the other side of the house going meow, 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 meow.
Weird.
Yeah. So maybe when they live in a home with people and they develop the meows that they think will help them communicate. If these cats who've been in my house since they were babies, you know, they were fosters. And so they were in my house from the time they were like 2 weeks old. And they've always lived with people and they've always meowed at people. So maybe
they don't know any different.
Yeah, they talk to each other that way too.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, being bilingual.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean,
do you think you'd like one for Harriet?
Yes, I would like one for Harriet.
So you could know a little better what she's trying to say to you? Yeah.
I would definitely like one.
I think the technology's out there to actually make these. And certainly, you know, you wouldn't know exactly what they're saying. But like I said, the thought I had originally where I thought you would be programming specific, there would be pre-recorded language, but you could pick which of your cat's meows it associated with.
Right.
Right? That's what I thought. And I still think that's a good idea. And I don't think that's impossible. I think you absolutely could do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. For me, personally, I would not want one of these. I like communicating with my cats the way I do already.
Yeah.
That I can interpret what different meows mean. And it's not just the sound. And I think minimizing the translation to just the vibrations does a disservice because cats, they're not just communicating with their meows. It has to do with their body language and their tail position and all the things that they're also doing when they're talking to you, or just the fact that this is one meow I have and I use it sometimes to mean please turn the faucet on in the bathroom sink.
Right.
But I also use it when I'm asking you to give me some ham when you're making a sandwich, right? Like
yeah, I know what you mean.
So, I mean, I guess something like that, you could just have it say, I want some of this, you know, like I want some of this water. I want some of this ham, you know, but I think there's some very similar meows. And again, it's about location. But everything else, the body language, you know, and what you're doing at the time as well, right?
Yeah.
Although it might be helpful at my house to have a caller that interpreted when they were saying, you've trapped me in the closet. I'm stuck in the office. I'm out in the garage.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that just happened today. One of my cats was stuck in a room and we didn't know it. So maybe it would help to have a caller on with the volume turned all the way up or something. Because although I actually don't think he was upset about it.
No.
He likes that room.
Yeah.
So I think, he was just sleeping probably.
Right.
We didn't hear him complaining. We didn't hear him talking. But yeah, I don't know that I'd want to know what they're saying.
It's true. Well, it would be a fun novelty thing to have.
Yeah. How quickly do you think you'd get tired of it?
Probably pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I agree with you that it's saying something that isn't necessarily quite, translatable.
Yeah. Oh, that's an interesting point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
at least into our language.
Into our language. Not directly. There's no cat to human.
No, and certainly no human to cat, because that app on your iPhone isn't fantastic. Yeah. But that's just a game. I don't think they're really trying to do anything. The Catterbox idea, it's interesting. Well, can you do it? Okay, so the app on your iPhone, is it more than a game? If you record something into it.
I don't know how it works.
Okay, because I did see a video online of a woman who had an app on her iPhone, and she would press a record button, say something into it, and then the app would interpret that back.
Okay.
So is that what does yours do that?
I have no idea.
There was like a red button.
That's a red button. Okay. Oh, it's recording.
Hi, Harriet. Okay, let's try it again.
All right. Hi, Harriet.
That seems like a lot of words for just saying hi, Harriet. Here, let me try one.
Okay, whoops. Okay, here we go. And
you need your claws trimmed. It sounds like 4 different cats.
I know.
And Harriet is not responding to it at all. She was responding when you just pressed one button.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think she's gone completely.
Okay, let me try another one.
Okay. Here we go.
Get off the kitchen counter. It seems like a lot. Yeah, but those would be helpful things to be able to communicate to your cat.
Sure, there would be. Yeah, and then there's other things that not so much.
No, and other things you're communicating easily just by petting and brushing and feeding them. And you already know when Harriet wants water from the sink, and you already know when she wants you to get up and feed her, right?
Yeah.
And certainly you guys have a communication established for when she wants to be brushed.
Yes.
And that's about location too, right? She goes to a specific spot and waits. Yeah.
So maybe it's not such a good idea.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a novelty. If they actually created them for people to buy, which I don't think is that crazy of an idea.
Yeah.
I mean, they made 50 of them with a 3D printer. They would just need to go to the actual development stage.
Yeah.
And even as they are, with the pre-recorded messages that associate with vibrations, people would still buy those. They'd make great Christmas gifts.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and I think especially non-cat people would buy them for cat people as gifts, like not really understanding the nuances that we're talking about and maybe why we wouldn't want one. Yeah. But if someone gave me one as a gift, for sure, I still don't know that I'd put them on my cats. I still think I'd like to have that mystery there, but I might come over and put it on Harriet.
Well, see, the thing with that is, see, I know Harriet so well, and I feel like I know her as
well as you can.
As well as I can, yeah. And as of right now, if I were to get a Catterbox, it would do something wrong. Like we're trying to interpret her saying something. She would get it wrong at one point, and it's no fault of the Catterbox.
No,
it's just doing its thing, but it's telling you that it's saying I'm hungry. And it's saying, really, what it's saying is, shut up and get out of the way.
I'm trying to get down this hallway.
Whatever. And, then you miscommunicated with your cat.
Right.
Then that's a problem.
Yeah, that's a danger of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
You just would have to understand that it would just be a novelty product. Yeah.
You just put disclaimers.
Yeah. Yeah, because otherwise, you may start overfeeding your cat because the Catterbox keeps telling you that they want Temptations.
Well, that's no joke.
Yeah, because it was developed with money from Temptations. Seems to me that would be a common interpretation of the Catterbox. Right. All cats are asking for Temptations. Temptations are my favorite. More Temptations, please.
Yes.
Did you buy Temptations at the store? Where do you go when you leave the house? What do you do all day? I think there's probably a lot of that.
Yeah. Where have you been?
And there's certainly those cats that talk a lot.
Yeah.
When you come home.
Yeah.
Right? And I've always thought that the cat is saying, thank God you're back. I have so much to tell you.
Yeah.
Earlier today, I saw a bird out the window.
Yeah.
And then it flew away. Now another bird came back. Like some long-winded story about birds that showed up in and out of the window. That could be all they're saying.
It could be.
Could also be, I enjoyed that box you left for me to sit in.
Yeah.
I slept in it for 10 hours.
Yeah, they could be incredibly dull.
Yeah. Okay, that's hilarious. Yeah, they've really got nothing to say.
What is that? Okay. Sure. Can I turn this off?
I think you just take it off.
Yeah.
Or like the kitten in the video that I saw. The cat's just like, I don't like this. Get this thing off of me. Yeah. It is fun, though, that you can sort of like your GPS or Waze app or whatever, you can pick a voice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would imagine if they really did develop it as a product for sale, they'd have to have some different voices that weren't just all British.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I enjoyed reading about it, and then the videos that I saw. I also enjoyed finding the people online who were like, this isn't a real thing, like getting all upset about it. You're going, well, if you just did a little more research, you would see that it is a real thing. I'm getting most of my information from an article from the business section of the New York Times.
Okay.
So they actually did the research and found out how the thing worked and how many of them were made and what was done with them, and really looked at specifically because it was an article in the business section for the New York Times, really looking at how is this advertising agency boosting the business by actually investigating science, because they could have just said, let's make some funny commercials where we pretend that this is a thing that can interpret what your cat's saying. But no, let's go one step further and actually get some engineers to make the thing.
Yeah.
And then we'll put that in the video, you know, and that's very interesting. Because I think even just, you know, or even other companies, other ad agencies working today would not have taken that extra step, you know, and that's clearly why this company works with giant accounts, right? I also liked at the end of this article, which anybody can look up on their own. So the gentleman who's the head of this campaign, of this account at Adam and Eve DDB, was saying that not only had they gotten a lot of attention for this campaign, for the Catterbox campaign, but it's also incredibly popular to work on at the agency. And so he's quoted as saying, when people hear there's a specific brief for Temptations, right? People sniff around the account and want to go with us. And that's a sign of a good account when people seek to work on it. So not just the reaction they're getting from the public, but internally at their big ad agency, people actually trying to find ways to get assigned to it, that they're doing such fun things and going that extra step. Like, if, you know, even for the Christmas tree commercial, they could have just been like, oh, we could have a couple of cats and some like ornaments and things on a stage, and then have someone shake a Temptations bag, right? But instead, what we'll do is we'll actually rent a giant soundstage, you know, and really create some drama, and we'll get like 20 cats, you know. So just going that extra step, like not just getting a good idea, but getting a good idea and really exploiting it, and, you know, bringing in other experts into it. And, you know, and in this case, potentially creating something that, you know, if the Mars company wants to put the money into it, I think they own this idea now, and they could actually build these things and sell them, you know, at pet store near you.
Yeah.
Sell them with a bag of Temptations.
Oh boy.
I don't see why not.
Well, Harriet's looking at me. She's thinking. I'm wondering what she would say right now.
Well, she's not meowing.
I know.
She's breathing hard.
I know.
I think she might be thinking that it's time for me to go. After having thought about it a lot, though, like I said, I don't think I would want one.
Yeah, me too. After, you know, thinking that I did, then thinking about it some more, no.
Yeah. So, you know, it could be a toy for people to play with, but I don't like it as an additional thing. Oh, there she meowed. As an additional thing for a cat to wear around their neck. So, with that, I'm okay with telling people to go play with their cats.
Play with your cats.
Bye.
Bye.